In Indonesia, on the island of Sulawesi, hides a mountain range named the Matarombeo. It is so impenetrable that it has remained a mystery to this day, an unconquerable rock, one of the last unexplored places on Earth. Geologist and adventurer Evrard Wendenbaum is off to explore the Matarombeo's unique biodiversity and rich archaeological history.
This massive, when viewed in satellite images, reveals absolutely no traces of modern life. There are no roads and no nearby villages. It's a completely unexploited piece of Earth.
Evrard Wendenbaum embarks with a dozen specialists to explore this exceptional spot, a refuge for rare and unusual species, where the only traces of ancient civilizations are these rock paintings. It's a fragile environment that needs protecting. The island of Sulawesi's main economic drivers are natural resources and palm oil. But today, overexploitation is threatening the island's precious ecosystems and unique biodiversity.
The goal of our endeavors is to find a way to protect these mini Edens before they disappear along with everything else.
In the center of Indonesia's crescent of islands lies Sulawesi, known for its four-legged shape. In the southeast is Matarombeo. Its jagged limestone makes it a perfect stronghold for biodiversity. In Kendari, Sulawesi's capital, Evrard and his team prepare for their expedition. The massif is a day away by bus. The team of scientists is made up of Aurelian Bohr, a young, energetic, and enthusiastic botanist. Jean-Michel Bichat, a naturalist and the team's global coordinator. Luc-Henri Fage, a speleologist specialized in Indonesian archaeological ruins. And Tanguy Daufray, an ecologist interested in the Massif's endemic fauna. Plus, of course, Aurélie Calmet, an illustrator specialized in nature drawings and watercolors. According to the locals, the Matarombeo shelters several unique species within its labyrinth of calcium rock and tropical forests. Among these rare species is the anoa, the world's smallest bovid, which we know almost nothing about and that no one has ever filmed in its natural habitat. The knowledge of the villagers, long familiar with the anoa, is vital to Tanguy and Jean-Michel. They'll have to search near water sources and mostly at night. But finding an anoa is not the only mission. A key challenge of this expedition will be figuring out how to actually cross the craggy massif made up of jagged cliffs. Not to mention the team is carrying 400 kilos of necessary equipment.
The only solution is to follow the water. which over the course of tens of thousands of years, or perhaps hundreds of thousands of years, slowly carved its own course through this mountain range. That's why we chose to take the river, which is really the only natural way to get across the Massif. You okay?
It's dry season. The river's water level is low, and the current is gentle. But danger lurks in the form of jagged rocks just below the surface. After 2 hours on the river, the team runs into their first surprise.
Well, the river disappears, and we don't know where it goes underground. So we're going to set up camp up there, 100 meters from the opening, and we're going to explore inside and try to figure out a way through. We have what we need to dive and to paddle our little boats. We also have ropes and the necessary gear to go caving. We have everything we need. But if there's no way through, we'll go up and find a path there that will bring us back down the other side.
Aurélie Calmet, the illustrator, is on her first major expedition. The first obstacle is obvious. The river dips into the rock's gaping mouth and disappears from sight.
Today, we're going to try to follow a different path, an unknown stretch that's not on the map. Oh, we have our images from Google Earth showing something green, a forest, but it's not very clear. The river's there, it's on the map, but then it disappears, only to reappear a few hundred meters away.
Great, we can get through.
Look!
It looks like a particularly dangerous species.
It's in striking position. Beautiful. I'd love to catch it, but I'm scared.
Don't.
The water level is low. It's looking like the team can proceed on foot. They'll need to find the best path for the relatively inexperienced rest of the team to get through without too much difficulty. Trees are blocking the way, evidence of how strong the current can get when it starts to rain.
There's lots of water and a steady flow. There's a sharp 90-degree turn ahead, and we don't know if we can get through. This particular section looks a little too hard. There's an enormous tree trunk that's stuck. I'm going to go over it to see what's ahead on the bend. The trunk is not stable. I don't want to fall in the water. I can't see back there. I'm sure we can get through.
200 meters further, continuing on dry land becomes impossible. The only solution is to get in the water and be carried by the current.
We don't have a choice. Use a rope just in case.
When we were swimming, I got a little scared at one point. The current was strong. I fell on my back and my leg got tangled in the rope and my tether. I got tied up, pulled by the current, so it got dicey for a couple of minutes. Well, it's hard to say. Maybe it was a minute, maybe less. I don't know, but it was quite scary. My head got sucked underwater. When I came up, I called Evrard.
I heard, I'm drowning, I'm drowning, help. I ran as best I could. I swam back against the current.
And with one last burst of energy, I managed to grab the edge of a rock, catch my breath, and swim. Well, to paddle all the way to the side of the wall and get out.
Despite the close call, Evrard and Jean-Michel make it across the massif.
We saw that the water will be okay for the boats. There aren't a ton of rapids, some small ones. But I really know taking the boats in there in the dark will freak everybody out. Okay, everybody ready? Time to tackle the river. Here you can see the trajectory of the Landu. So we'll have to go down this portion here over the next few days, and including a certain number of rapids. The idea is that every time there's a rapid, you'll hear it. It will be very loud, like a big murmuring right in front of us. That will be a little stressful, but you don't need to worry. Generally speaking, we always have enough time to anticipate. What's going to happen is that any time we get to such an area, I'll stop, I'll get out of the boat, then I'll go to see what lies ahead to decide if we can get across the rapids or if we have to go on foot. Yesterday, we saw we could get through, so this morning we're going to try it. There's a first rapid that's pretty rough, but after, it's pretty smooth sailing. Be sure to use your voice if you need to call something out. Only use the whistle if there's a big problem, okay? I've never seen anything like this. It's enormous. It's a gigantic stalactite. We made it out to the other side. And wow, it was awesome. It was a whole new world. It opened up to an entirely new area, almost another ecosystem. It felt like going from night to day. It was like paradise. It feels like the Garden of Eden. It's really crazy. It's a jungle full of animals, insects, and magnificent plants. But above all, there are all sorts of captivating noises and smells. It's a unique atmosphere. Once you're on the water and you let it propel you quietly, sometimes if you look closely, you'll see a reptile that looks prehistoric. It's known as a hydrosaurus, which is a pretty prehistoric name too. When they see you or hear you, they literally drop.
The team decides to take advantage of the currently calm conditions to dock the boats and explore the forest. Aurélien Boer, the young botanist, examines a tree with an extremely large bulb, the first of many wonders in this isolated forest.
Wow, look at that.
Do you see that? It's an ant plant, but this is an extraordinarily large specimen. I've read about plants with bulbs as large as human heads. This is clearly much, much bigger than that.
So what's special about it? Are you talking about that large bulb?
Yes.
But we're on another tree. This isn't the same plant, right?
Correct. The tree we're on is called a Melastomataceae. It's a pretty common tree in tropical forests, and this plant's growing on top of it. You can see its roots winding around. They're directly attached to the trunk. It creates a large floating bulb with its roots seemingly unattached.
But aren't tubers usually in the ground?
Yes, but this one's different.
It's in the air.
Yes, it's an epiphytic plant. AP meaning around, because it grows around the tree. It gets sustenance from the air, but primarily from the ants that feed it. See all those ants walking around inside? They're out here and they live inside.
There's tunnels everywhere.
Yes, the inside is full of tunnels and the ants live inside them. What's interesting is that the plant made those tunnels.
The ants don't dig them?
No, they didn't dig them. They just live in there.
I see.
The ants are attracted to this beautiful tree, which makes a great nest. And the plant benefits from the waste like ant carcasses and leftover food, which all accumulates inside. You can see there are lots of little roots running up and down the tunnels. Those roots gather all the energy, all the nitrates left behind by the ants.
We are looking at a specimen of a known species that goes beyond anything ever documented. This is up-to-the-minute scientific research, and that we're gathering what was previously only local knowledge and which was never transmitted academically. The problem is that the people who live around the Massif don't know or no longer know all these things that their ancestors did. We're bringing our own knowledge as scientists, which allows us to recognize that there's something special going on here. The biodiversity of this place is exceptional, and that's exactly what we need to protect. The banks of the river are these huge, chaotic, sifting and aggressive blocks. They're all needles. Those spikes you see here. That's all there is, everywhere. If there's a rock in the way that looks too sharp or too dangerous, we should stop and go around on foot. Maneuvering over these rocks, you're going to get cuts on your hands and feet. Same with your knees and shins, your clothes, your backpacks. It's like a natural blade that's 60 kilometers long and 20 kilometers wide, and it's incredibly dangerous.
Evrard and his team progress slowly, surrounded by unexpected challenges. They're on high alert in this hostile environment. Evrard keeps his ears open to anticipate the river's dangers.
It's pretty stressful and nerve-wracking, but that's also what makes an expedition like this so exciting. You never know what lurks around the next corner, or what secrets are behind the next bend. My only fear is that we may not be able to get around some of these rapids.
The rapids are a tedious obstacle and cause the inflatable boats to capsize frequently. Setting up camp is necessary to dry everything out. There's one of the animals I was hoping to see on this expedition.
Me too. The cuscus.
The Matarombeo of Sulawesi.
Yeah, it's a marsupial.
Yeah.
You can see it's a cross between Australian fauna and Asian fauna. There are two species of cuscus here. These marsupials are a distant cousin of the kangaroo.
Does it only exist here?
Yes, it only exists here. You wouldn't find it anywhere else. The other local cuscus is also specific to the area. There are other cuscus species in the world, but in Papua New Guinea.
Papua New Guinea.
Yes, mostly there. This animal is being threatened by the destruction of its habitat. You can see it's an animal that strives in forests that are mostly intact. It's also hunted for its meat and because people like to keep them as pets. People come catch them in trees so they can sell them.
It looks better in a tree.
Yeah, I agree.
Tanguy lays camera traps, hoping to capture images of the anoa, that small horned mammal that has yet to be filmed in the wild.
Yeah, that should work.
These camera traps can take footage of all sorts of species, both day and night. Tanguy will return in a few days to collect them. The island of Sulawesi is famous for its exceptional rock paintings. The neighboring Matarombeo Massif contains the oldest known human rock paintings, dating back to more than 40,000 years. Could the Matarombeo also contain similar hidden treasures? On the 10th day of the expedition, Evrard and Luc-Henri Fage set out to explore a cave.
Wow, there's pottery everywhere.
So thin. Look.
What's that over there? Oh, it's an urn. That looks intact.
Careful. It's fine.
Yeah,
Just a little climb.
yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Let me attach the rope. You are the Captain Haddock of archaeology.
Good Lord. They're similar to those in North Borneo.
I don't see any ornaments.
You've got to be an acrobat to get a funeral urn up here.
Yeah.
And there were at least 3 of them.
The body was already a skeleton when it went inside, right?
Yeah,
So it's like in Madagascar,
exactly.
where they turn around over the bodies.
They waited for the body to decompose, then they ground up the bones for a ceremony and put that in the urn with the other objects. This could have been an offering cup used during the funerals. It's beautiful. Wow, this is cool. Another urn.
Is this part of a coffin, this big piece of wood?
That's part of a coffin, yes. They put in wooden slats and structures and then put the jars on top to keep their round base from rolling. Then over time, the wood must have rotted and collapsed. Either that or pillagers came looking to steal something and smashed everything.
Anoa tracks.
The Anoa is our holy grail. It's a small bovine, the smallest bovine in its family, which is endemic to the island of Sulawesi. We have very little documentation about its biology and its ecology, because it's a fearful animal of the forest. To this day, we know extremely little about it. To give you an example, in over 8,000 hours of photo capture, we've only managed to document a single individual. Our objective is to remedy that.
To put all the odds in their favor, in addition to Tanguy's camera traps, Jean-Michel builds a blind so they can be as discreet as possible overnight. It's a great opportunity for Aurélie, the illustrator, to join the scientist and fully take in the environment for her drawings.
Water sources are usually where a lot of animals gather, especially larger mammals, during the end of the dry season. So our strategy is to set up our cameras, our camera traps, in an area the animals have to pass by in order to get to the water.
I've been here for 6 months, and I have to say, it's really nice here. There's a great little river, and I've made some new friends. Okay, back to work.
Aurélie stayed up all night, but didn't see an Anoa. So far, the creature is living up to its reputation. But further ahead, Tanguy and Jean-Michel have returned to the camera traps to retrieve their memory cards. Their content has a few surprises in store.
We looked at the images from 2 of the cameras.
And?
It's awesome. There's some hilarious footage of monkeys.
Really?
There's a group of what, 15?
20.
About 20 monkeys, the small ones in front, the adults behind. They jump from trunk to trunk. Then a few solitary monkeys go by. So there's the group, then a few loners. One of them is just hanging out. Let's see what we got. There.
Wait, yes, it's a babirusa.
Oh, yeah.
In daylight.
The video is exceptional.
Great video.
Good stuff.
A Nanoa walked by the camera the very first night.
He smelled us. He could smell that we'd been there.
Definitely.
He seems very cautious.
Awesome. I told you. First night.
Yes.
Tanguy and Jean-Michel now have proof that although rare, Anoas are still present in the area. It's a good start. Now they need to go deeper into the massif for additional observation. Evrard is a geologist by trade. He loves studying rocks to learn history, both in terms of geology and archaeology. He tries to examine every wall, adventuring off alone into any hint of a cave before risking the well-being of the rest of the team.
When I enter a cave, I primarily have two goals. One is to go as deep as possible, and the other, once I'm inside, is to find a way out somewhere else than where I came in. To me, that's the ultimate thrill, going in on one side and coming out the other. There are other goals too, like trying to find an underground stream. There's a hole back there. I'm going to try not to fall in. Wow, it's beautiful in here. Think about it like a piece of Swiss cheese, a huge piece of Swiss cheese. This limestone block was slightly raised and was completely dissolved by tropical water, by tropical rains. Water drops can penetrate the rock from every possible angle. It's very fragile.
This limestone and its plethora of exciting caves first took shape beneath the ocean before it was lifted above it thousands of years ago.
There's a small stream of water here.
Evrard manages to find an exit some 400 meters away, but no cave paintings. It's time to pack up camp and get back on the Lindu River.
We're going under hundreds of feet of rock. It's a remarkable natural bridge. The water didn't always pass this way. It used to make a huge detour around. There's almost a full kilometer of the water's trajectory that the river suddenly decided to divert via a fault. You can see little rays of sunshine coming through it. There are many segments where you can just relax and let the water take you. You're floating downstream, having a good time together. Whenever we want, we stop to examine or explore a rock shelter or some archaeological remains, or a cave we think might offer a way underground to pass through.
The walls here are very interesting.
How so?
They're covered in clay that's decomposing. Wow, an animal and boats. In a cave this humid, it's almost a miracle that these paintings are still here. This is proof that a human being was inside this cave. They painted this and left a message for us to find.
There's a creature there.
What kind of creature is that?
A hydrosaurus and its crest?
Yeah, yes. This is very moving. It's very beautiful. There's a group of anthropomorphic beings, people that are all depicted from the front. Apparently, it's a composition, meaning all these drawings together tell a story. This could very well be the creation story of the Talaki people. They were indigenous here prior to the arrival of Austronesians. This may be an initiation ritual designed to teach the clan's history to young children, who then drew it in this cave. It was probably drawn during a shamanic ceremony, because this animal represents the sea and could be a giant centipede. It seems to show writhing movements, which really reminds me of typically shamanic drawing elements. And here you have an animal, or a beast-like creature. The big chief is this one with the 38 feathers and the horns. This looks like it depicts anthropomorphic and zoomorphic motives. One of the hallmarks of shamanism is to transform into an animal. So what we could be seeing here is someone who was undergoing an initiation, a sort of cosmic journey, and who transformed into a cervid. There's definitely a story, that much is obvious, and these paintings could be, well, we know they're Austronesian, so they're no more than 5,000 years old, but they could be 2,000 to 3,500 years old.
It's really rough over here.
Three made it through, 2 flipped over. I'll try to do better.
Back up, back up. Come on, keep going. Every time we go over a rapid like that, we have to stop right after to empty our boats, because they fill up with water almost immediately and get super heavy. like a bathtub full of water. But it's fun, you know. We're having a blast. It's fun, but it's also an element of danger, because we're at the ends of the earth, in the middle of nowhere, and it's impossible to get rescued here. So, yeah. A couple of untimely dips.
This one got harpooned twice. Bam! These are shrimp, right? Not crayfish.
Yes, there's shrimp.
Days into the expedition, the team has accumulated plenty of data and drawings. But there are still surprises. And not all of them feel good.
Damn it! The Noah was just here. It came this way. We found these sort of bassines that are permanently filled with water, even now at the end of the dry season. That's a major lifeline for the Noahs. If there are other such basins deeper in the mountain, that means certain animals can totally strive.
The Anoa is still an important objective for Tanguy and Jean-Michel. The more proof they have of its presence, the better their chances of getting the Matarombeo Massif declared a sanctuary. As for Evrard, he's still on the hunt for hidden cave treasures. He secretly harbors the hope of finding another cave with evidence of mankind. Proof that human societies lived inside the Matarombeo, in harmony with its steep, challenging landscape.
Old habits die hard.
Oh, that's great. It's beautiful. There's a draft. Oh, that's great. It's beautiful. There's a draft. I know someone who'll be very happy.
See those shapes? Those are from liquid flooding. This cave used to be full of water.
Yeah.
There was simultaneous erosion and calcite deposit. That these paintings survived is a miracle. A layer of calcite preserved them.
Isn't that exactly what you were looking for? Since the beginning?
Sure, it's a human sign. What better proof of humanity than a trace of your own hand? It's incredibly moving. They're negative hands. The person's hand was placed against the wall, and then the paint was pulverized over it.
So they must have used some sort of powder.
It could have been powder, dissolved in water, that they put into their mouths and then sprayed out in a mist if they were good at it, unless they used a tube.
Like a straw.
Exactly, that's how they left the negative handprint. They gravitated to caves because they sensed special spirits here, conjured up by the shapes and the compressions of the walls. This was obviously a sacred place.
Yeah.
From here you can see the valley in the distance and the river. It's a little like a monastery built in a special place where you feel in communion with the spirits. Back then, these people wanted to live in harmony with the spirits that they felt present in the rocks, the trees, The wind, the rain, everything was alive.
Everything had a spirit. Luke, here's something cool. We made the right choice. Look.
Oh, the vases.
And little statues.
I see urns. That one's magnificent.
They're everywhere. Look.
The Dayak in Borneo had pierced ears, and these guys too. That's gorgeous. They must have buried men here for decades, if not centuries. This is a sepulchral cave.
That's a lot of people.
It's well located because no animals can get in here, except maybe monkeys.
Maybe some birds. I don't know.
All of this revolves around a purpose. If you bring people into a cave, it's because their spirits travel with their bones.
Yeah.
Their ceremonies must have been very loud.
Yeah.
So that the spirits would follow and stay in the cave.
Between the negative hands and the funeral sites, the Matarombeo turns out to be an amazing source of culture. Everything is carefully put back into place so that the Indonesian scientists can carefully analyze and date these incredible remnants. After 18 days of exploring along the Lindu River, the journey is coming to an end.
Look here, I got a few cool things. There were a lot of babyrusas, you know, those little boars.
Yeah?
That's a female. She's just rolling around.
With her babies.
Yeah. She's digging a hole. Looks like she's digging.
With her gluteal muscles to try and get to deeper water.
Yeah, she's struggling. Look. Now, I'm going to show you some footage of the Noahs.
Okay, you got some.
Yeah. This, for example. They're always very fearful. You see? They're always on their toes.
At the beginning of the expedition, we talked about this animal as if it was a small cow. But when you look at this, it's really not that small.
You guys made fun of me.
We did, I confess.
As you can see, it's different.
Yeah.
Given the environment they live in, you could say this creature is extremely well adapted to its environment.
Yeah.
The horns go straight back, which allows them to easily pass through the underbrush. And you'll also see here, when they walk, they sort of coil their hooves.
Yes.
To avoid the creepers. You know, the ones we tripped over all the time.
Oh, yeah. And the rocks, too.
Yeah.
The terrain is very uneven, obviously.
Look at this. It's one of the few we got during the day. All the others were at night.
I see two babies here.
Yeah. That one is probably around a year or two. And the other one, it's a newborn. You see how the mom has a beautiful black coat?
Yeah.
The young one is red-colored, and the newborn is brown, maybe very dark red. All this footage, and we have quite a lot of it, was captured over an amount of time when we could see them move, we could see them being very careful, etc. It's something we can study after the fact. Based on the footage, we'll be able to recap the behavior of these animals.
Yeah.
This is very valuable footage. We need to go through it. We really see the animal in its natural environment. We see how gracefully they move, which gives us a whole new dimension to the argument of trying to protect this species.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting result, considering this animal is of local interest. Maybe we can use it to create a conservation campaign in the future where we treat them as an umbrella species, which means that protecting this species will help protect the other species here too.
The first trip to the Matarombeo certainly won't be the last, because this Garden of Eden is rich with wonders. But on a scientific level, everything remains to be done. There's no doubt that this bastion of biodiversity deserves to be protected. Such is the ultimate goal of Evrard's organization, Nature Evolution. Yet the outcome will depend on the Indonesian people themselves.